Welcome back. Nightly Nonsense. Hey, we're in the book of Nehemiah. We're in chapter 2. I got through the first part of 1 and then went on this whole self-convicting rant. So let's continue on with that because actually my favorite part of the story is in the second half of this verse. Look at it. It says this, in month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was before him, I took up the wine and gave it to the king. Well, that's because that was his job. God put him in the perfect place, the perfect time, for the perfect reason. Because here's the rest of it. Now, I had not been sad in his presence. I love this. I am object lesson person. I love to look at things, see things, and then preach them. This is fantastic. Now, first of all, can you just imagine the reality of this? Was this like Nehemiah's first day on the job? Right? Like the king had never seen him sad before. I wonder if the people who work with you could say that. I wonder if they should say that. Should they say that they've never seen you sad? Have the people that you work with, could they say to other people, yeah, man, I've seen Andy really lose it. I've seen Andy really lambaste our boss. I've seen him really destroy other people. I've seen him really destroy his family, his friends. I've heard him talk about things that are terribly. I've seen him throw a fit. I've seen him do these things. Could people around you, could they say what they said about Nehemiah? I've never been sad before. I've never been sad before in his presence. Are you able to put everything else aside and go to work? Are you able to put everything aside and go to church? How about play? Oh, most of us can do it for a little bit, but we lose it. You know, the problem with trying to put it aside and going to play and work and church is all the enemy has to do is just dig a little bit and then poof, it all comes out. God has no desire for you to put things to the side. God wants you to deal with things and let it go. There's such a huge difference between letting go of things and putting things to the side. Letting go of that fight you had this morning with whoever, that means you don't remember it anymore. You don't keep a record of wrongs. You're kind to the person. You're still doing all the things that you're supposed to in love. Putting it aside means it can come out at any time. Do you know the enemy wants you to put things aside? He doesn't want you dealing with things. He doesn't want anybody to be able to say to you, hey, I've never seen you upset before. I've never seen this before. There's a huge difference in doing your job with the Lord as the focus and without the Lord as the focus. Nehemiah is focused on the right things. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Do you know what happens when you're preoccupied as a cupbearer? You don't keep your head very long. And do you know what happens when you're working someplace and you don't keep your focus? You don't keep your head very long. Now, you can maybe physically keep it attached, but have you tried those days where you just can't focus? You just can't get the things done that you need to get done. You're treating everybody poorly because you pushed things aside. Don't push things aside. Get rid of things. I have friends that are super good friends because they know the way that I work through things, right? And they walk with me down a trail, and at any point they want to just stop and go, Andy, this isn't it. But they let me work through it. And as I work through it, right, we get to the end of it, and almost you can hear them smiling and laughing a little bit and going, you know, we could have taken care of this in minute one if you would have just let it go. But I have to talk through things, right? Because it's about getting your head and your heart in the same place. I know the right to do. Almost all the time I know the right to do. The problem is I don't want to do it. Do you know how freeing it is to be able to look at somebody and say, I know what I need to do. I don't want to do it. But most of us, you know, we don't give ourselves that ability to get the heart and the mind together. Right? The truth of the matter is when we get the heart and the mind together, then we do godly things. We do right things for the right reasons. When we don't get our heart and mind in the right place, then we do sometimes godly things for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we do human things Sometimes we get it all messed up. Do you know the damage that you can do when you tell somebody you forgive them, but you really don't? That's a lot of damage. Do you know the damage you can do when you tell somebody that you love them when you really don't? They're smart enough to know. Do you know the damage you can do when your heart and your mind aren't in the same place? Yeah, I'm really excited about this job. And then you show up on day one and everybody knows you would rather have a different job. Right? You can be grateful for having a job and not like it, and that can come out. You can love your job and not be grateful for it and not be doing right things in it, and that can come out. You can be all over the place. And God wants us to take a second, be still, put things together because He's about ready to do things, great things. He's like, you got to have it all together because you know what? Nehemiah prayed that God would move. We talked about that several weeks ago. Right? That God would move, that He would do something crazy. Do you know what Nehemiah probably didn't have the expectation of? That God would actually use him to do it. Hey God, you fix Jerusalem. You get it all taken care of. I'm really happy here in Babylon. I'm really happy taking care of the king. Right? So I'll stay here. You know that God's prepping Nehemiah to go from being a support team member to being on the front line. Do you know God does that? He's constantly moving people around. Sometimes He's asking us to be on the support team. Sometimes He's asking us to be in the front line. We got to know when it is and how it is and where it is that we do these. God's going to ask Nehemiah to be on the front line. Hey, Nehemiah, you prayed it. You can do it. Right? You're the man. Get it done. All of us want to pray for other people. Hey, Lord, send somebody to encourage my Aunt B. Oh, send somebody to be there for my brother or my cousin or my sister or whatever it is. Send somebody. But we don't really expect that God's going to say, yep, you're the man. You can do it, right? So, listen, made it through chapter 2, verse 1. One verse, 2 sessions here. Talking about Nehemiah moving forward with what God has for him. God's prepping. He's got him in the right place now. We know he's in the right place. We know he's with the right person. And God has even set up the right situation. This king had never, ever seen Nehemiah sad before. Let's see what his response is. Next time, Nightly Nonsense.